Welcome to My Journey. This video is a recording of PAIRIN's webinar hosted on July 19th, 2023. This video is made for professionals and alongsiders using the My Journey platform. Please note that your implementation may use different terminology, but the functionality shown here still applies. On the call with me today are my two wonderful colleagues, Mary Heck and Nicole Park. Mary is going to be co-leading with me this morning. Nicole is here to help us with monitoring the chat, the Q&A, just helping our webinar hygiene this morning. And feel free to direct any questions directly to us as we continue. We will be shutting the chat off once we get into the training section and moving just to the Q&A, so we can capture all of your questions and keep a record of those. As we get started, I just want to say we are so excited to spend time with you today. By the end of today's webinar, you will be equipped to use the redesigned My Journey professional portal. Will help make you aware of the resources available to help you. And again, we want to welcome all of you to our My Journey community of support. We are excited to be here together. I think many of you on the call have known our organization for many years, PAIRIN or Community Pro Suite. And this, I think, feels like a really special week in our company's history of just further integrating those really awesome visions of a comprehensive system that will help you more efficiently do your work. To ground us a little bit this morning in why we made this change, government software, higher education software, you often have to use clunky, non-intuitive software to do your job. It's not fun to be in, it's not fun to spend time in. And so one of the things we're excited about is that this redesign is a little bit more intuitive, more visually appealing and easier to use. We really hope that you love it as much as we do already. Again, I already introduced my colleagues on the call with me today. Please feel free to direct any questions our way. Nicole, I think I'm ready for you to turn off the chat and move exclusively to the Q&A as we jump into our content today. So after this webinar, please be sure to get on our Zendesk Help Center. That is our space with written documentation, how-to guides. Those are available 24/7. And we've worked on updating all of the content related to the professional user. Things like how to invite individuals to your participant portal if you have that feature enabled. How to complete a needs inventory and next steps. Throughout our webinar today, as well as, as you look through the Help Center, you might find features or functionalities or terms that you're not familiar with. One of the great things about the My Journey software is the ability to customize and configure the software to be what your organization needs. So if you're here from our California Adult Education Consortiums, you don't have the participant portal turned on in your implementation. So those features and functionality won't be available to you. So again, if you ever have a question of what do I have in my journey, always feel free to reach out and ask. One of the biggest changes is the change that we've made from My Workspace to My Dashboard. You'll see again that old design on the left that we've seen for a lot of years, and the new and improved, more intuitive version on the right side of your screen. I will be walking through some of the functionality that is available in my dashboard and some of those key changes. I'm just going to quickly pivot over to our implementation. As I've already mentioned, with My Journey, you have the ability to configure things to be best for your implementation. Today we're going to be in a training site. So we'll be talking about participants. In your implementation, those folks might be called students, clients, customers. Again, your team, your implementation can set those terms. So again, know that if you see something that you're not familiar with, do feel free to ask, because again, the training site is really kind of general and shows all of the features that we have. Great. So as I log in here, you will be directed to my dashboard. A little pro tip as you navigate, if you ever want to get back to my dashboard, you click on this little logo here on the top left-hand side. So if I click on that, I will get that refreshed view of my dashboard. Again, this space used to be called my workspace. It is now my dashboard. And again, you'll see a total redesign. One of the biggest changes that we've made is that the navigation bar used to be horizontal across the top of my journey, and now it is down here on the left side. So again, those tabs that you know and are familiar with are now here in a sidebar navigation tab. In addition, client settings, app settings, help, and log out. Those were really little icons on the top right. They are now down here below. So if you are curious how to log out, maybe how to change one of your settings. Some of you may not have app settings available depending on your level of access, but all of those things that you saw in the top right-hand corner are now here. These widgets, we have a participant search widget where you can very quickly find a participant in your implementation, in your location, simply by searching by name. You will also see a list of 5 participants here. These are the last 5 participant records that you've interacted with. So these will refresh and update as you work with more participants in your implementation. These will just be the last 5 that you had. You have your to-do list here. You have a referrals widget, outcomes widget, participants activity, ad hoc reporting. Again, these widgets can be turned on and off in your implementation. If you are logged in right now, you might not see all of the same ones that I have logged on, dependent on the functionality. Mary will spend a little more time here going especially into our referrals widget. I wanted to call attention to a couple of more features on my dashboard. I want to show you the announcements tab. Typically, the announcements were just one widget on your workspace. And frankly, it was easy to miss those announcements. Those have now been moved into their own tab here. You just click on announcements. And this is a list of the announcements that are live in your implementation. PAIRIN customer success consultants can support you in getting these updated. This might be a place where we share info like webinars, planned maintenance, where we spotlight a feature, but also you in your implementation for client administrators and folks who are working maybe at a higher level in the organization also have the ability to add announcements. We do have a Help Center article about how to add announcements, and you will be able to go there to make sure that you have the announcements and you're getting the information out to your team that you need to. The other thing that I do want to draw attention to is just how to change your location. Our system is location-based. That's an important part of how the system functions. Many of you have one location, so you are going to only see your one location, and changing your location is not as crucial. But if you are a person that works in multiple sites, multiple locations, this is important. So up here, the location is now just right here next to the page title. rather than over on the right side, you can click on this link, click on the little caret, and you will be brought to a screen that should look pretty familiar to you. You will be able to search for locations. Now, there is this help little text here in italics, type to search for locations. Many of you work in an implementation that has many, many locations. If you simply scroll, you may not get all of your locations. So you will want to search for locations to get a drill down list. You must enter more than two characters or more. If you do not enter 2 characters or more, the search doesn't function as expected. So again, if you are logged in and you have a super long list, just go ahead and search with the first few characters and you'll be brought to the right location. You'll click update current location, and then your location will be updated appropriately. I'm gonna stop there for any questions, anything that folks are wondering about or curious about. Great. I know some of you on the West Coast are probably just waking up with us this morning, so no questions are okay. Please feel free to drop those in at any time. And I'm going to pass it over to Mary.
So one of the things that makes My Journey valuable is that the system can serve as a single source of truth for participant information. So in this part of the webinar, we'll help you use My Journey, or whatever the My Journey white labeled platform is called in your city or state, to find an existing participant record or create a new one if you need. So let's go back to the platform. And we'll start in Afton Workforce Center. So let's use the example of a case manager who works in this workforce center called Afton. They have an upcoming meeting coming up with a client that they've been serving for a long time. So what they want to do is just find that customer record, maybe make a couple quick notes or reference notes from the last time they met. And you'll see that this is laid out a little bit more differently, and we think much more intuitively. So a few things that you can search by the resident name. Let's search for Jackie here as the client that we're looking for. If you had Jackie's date of birth, her email address, if you knew her internal ID, and when we say internal, we mean the My Journey ID that is generated for each resident, you can search by that. Or if you have an integration with LACES or another student information system, client information system, you can always search by external ID. So we searched by Jackie, she came up, we only have one Jackie in the system. You'll click on the client's first name to access their record, and we'll walk through the differences that appear in the client record next, but just wanted to show you the quick way to find a client record when you're looking for it. Let's take the example now that this same case manager is meeting with a new client, someone that they haven't met with before. They're not sure if they're in the system or not. So she might just start by searching the individual's name. Let's say it's a Jane Doe, and see if anyone shows up, see if that person has already been in Afton Workforce Center. You'll see that the system is telling us no participant found. There's no one matching your search at your location, or Jane Doe has not come into Afton Workforce Center. But we found a participant at another location who might be the same person you're looking for. So if you see this, you can click the search externally button, or if you want a shortcut, you just go to the search across feature, toggle that on, and this will be what was previously called the customer or participant lookup function. And this is where you can search across the client records that exist across all of the locations in your My Journey platform. So we will search for our Jane Doe. You always need first name, last name, date of birth, and then you just need one other piece of information. In this case, often email address is the easiest, or someone's home address, zip code. So we'll click search. Looks like we found, successfully confirmed that the person we're looking for exists in the system, might have just been receiving services from a different location, might be in a high school, might be in a community college, might be involved in a community organization. So we're going to go ahead and add this participant to our location, which lets us then see the individual's record. You can see other notes that other professionals have taken if they choose to make those visible across locations. You can see basic demographic information and kind of do your prep before you meet with someone for the first time. The last thing I'll show you on participants, let me go back to the participant page. Let's say you're looking for someone and again, you're not sure if they've been to Afton, you're not sure if they're in the system at all. Always a good idea to start by the search. Let's look for this individual, Janet Smith. And it looks like we don't have an exact match. We have some other Smiths, but let's do a new participant intake, or here, we can do that for the sake of the search across. Let's do Janet Smith. Let's see. And see if this record shows up. And it looks like, nope, no participant. This is a great use case where you're going to create a brand new record for the individual. So we'll do a participant intake. We'll enter the individual's first name, last name, email address. Let's just do a demo account and their date of birth. So we make it very simple to create a new resident record. But the more information you can add in the record at one time, the better for the next person who's picking up the referral resource. So the next part of the platform that we will show you is the intake form. Here's what the intake form previously looked like in my journey. Most of the workflow steps were on the left-hand side, which is still the case, but you'll see that in the new and improved version, we have just a much more streamlined version of the steps that you can take. So any questions that you had configured in your intake form will be the exact same. We have not made any changes to this participant information section. If you had name, date of birth, address, demographics, or if you just had a couple quick questions, as I know we have in Colorado, that will be exactly the same. So don't worry about changes that have been made here. The big difference is that we've bundled up some of the sections on the left-hand side. So for those who have a participant portal or a customer portal, this first tab is where you would go to invite your client, your student, to the participant portal or help them reset their password if they've been locked out. If you're not using the participant portal, if you're based in California or some of our other locations that are just using the professional side, you can ignore this part, no worries. So this is where you would go to send an invitation, reset a password, update someone's main email address if you need to, if they've changed email addresses, if they're using a combined one with their family. The next tab is the intake and participant info tab, and this is your basic client record information. This is where you'll do intake. This is where you'll add information as you learn more about your resident. Then some of the other basic ones, we have our agreements, we have our documents. If you're using this platform as a kind of a digital filing cabinet, this documents tab is a great place to store IDs, birth certificates, any required documents that are needed for eligibility for resources that you're referring folks to. You can also look at referrals made. We have some of these that might look familiar or might not. If they don't look familiar, don't worry about them. We use them in specific client instances. Your activity timeline is down here for your case management, or if you have our outcomes, goals, and steps configured in the participant portal, this is where you would look for someone's engagement with those outcomes, goals, and steps. And then we have assessments, notes, and the client record. Let me click into the referrals and you'll see we have this brand new participant, so we're not going to see any referral history. But if we go back to our resident Jackie, we'll see some detail in the referral section. So we'll see all of the referrals that have been made for this individual, the location she's been referred to, the type of the referral, the resource name and description, so you can quickly see exactly what the resource is, attendance if you have that configured, who created the referral and when, and then what the status was, whether it's an accepted referral, whether the referral's been rejected, or whether the referral is new and hasn't yet been acted upon. One more thing I will show you on the intake form before we go to the main referrals page is that this toggle button. So this was in our previous version. We added some color. We made it a little bit more visually appealing. But this is where you would go to pin a customer. So if you create a new customer record or if you edit a customer record, this will automatically toggle on. If you haven't engaged with a customer record but do want to have that pinned in your dashboard, you would just click this toggle to have that on. It's really helpful if you're working with the same person for a period of time and want to be able to quickly go to their account, because I will show you back on your dashboard. For those folks that you had pinned, they show up right here. So if you're working with Jackie every day, pin her and you can just go directly to her account, her record every time that you have that meeting. Again, with the referrals page, this view shows us the referrals that have been made for an individual resident. But what I will show you next is the new referrals page that will show all of the referrals that are either incoming or outcoming to your location. So a few differences from the previous referrals page to the new one. You'll notice also a much more streamlined design, some visual differentiation between the rows, and some export functionality. So we will get back into the system and get to it. To navigate to your referrals, you have this tab here on your left-hand panel. You can also get to there from your dashboard. So all of the tabs that exist in your left-hand panel, many of them exist as a widget in your dashboard, and that's a great way to, if you find yourself getting lost, this is a great home base to go back to. So we are in Afton Workforce Center still. The first thing I'll show you is that you can toggle by referral type. So any referral that is incoming to your location is going to be the default. But if you want to look at referrals that have been made from any professional at Afton Workforce Center to any other location in my journey, you would just toggle to outgoing and you'll see those referrals. Let me just orient you to the table here. We have the first name, last name for the individual, the name of the resource they've been referred to, type of resource, and then the location that is receiving the referral. So that's where it's going to, point of contact, and a few other details on where it came from, your location, the user from your platform who made the referral, and when it happened. And then we have the status here and your actions all the way on the right. So you can quickly look at referrals that are incoming to your organization, referrals that you've made outgoing, or if you're making out of network referrals to agencies, organizations, schools, platforms that are not in the My Journey system, you could use this toggle to go there. Let's look at the incoming referrals and then filter by referral status. So this is a great way to get a quick snapshot of the referrals that have come into your location. And you can look at the ones that have been accepted. You can look at the ones that have been rejected. Or what we think is the most useful is to use this when you're looking at new referrals, because this is kind of your to-do list of these are the referrals that you need to look at and make a decision based on. And you'll see we have 34 referrals for this demo organization. You can look individually at some of the details that populate in the table. So let's look at this Corey demo, first individual that pops up. Let's say we've reviewed this client record. We know we want to accept him to the resource. We will click this pencil in the action button, and this will take us to the same referral page that you are familiar with from the previous version. So this one had light touch design on the left-hand panel, but for the most part looks the same. You can change the status to accepted, rejected, add some notes, add some follow-ups, and you'll be all set to go there. Let me go back to our referrals page and show you a new feature that is a little bit easier to use, which is, let's say you know all of these people, you were just in a workshop with them all, you don't want to have to click on this pencil button 51 separate times, or here, let me go back to the new referral, 34 separate times. You could select all of them at the same time in all of the ones that appear, or you can show, I know Diane, I know Arena, I know Corey, and I'm going to change the status of just these 5 selected individuals. So you'll see I have 5 items selected. I can click this button to change their status, and very quickly I can accept them all or reject them all with just a couple clicks. And you can make a note here of these 5 people were in this program. I've reviewed them all. We're excited to have them in our facility. So that is what I wanted to show you on the referrals. Nicole, any questions that came up in the chat? It looks like our Q&A is, it's like no questions.
No questions, no.
Okay, great. Let me just do a quick overview then. So welcome back to the new My Journey platform. We're excited about this new dashboard. Your left-hand panel is your new navigation for the familiar items that you've been able to access in the past. But we hope you are just as excited as we are about the new designs, the improved layout. That being said, as you know, if you've been working with us for a long time, we are always open to feedback. If you have questions that come up after you hang up, you can always reach out to any of us or submit a support ticket. I would absolutely encourage you to check out the Help Center articles. Those are available 24/7 in our online Help Center. And some of those are chunked out in just bite-sized pieces. So if you're wanting to remember, oh, how do I create a new referral for a resident? That's the way that you do it. Or if you're wondering, how do I send a message? How do I access this report? How do I import a new customer? And you don't want to rewatch an hour-long webinar, the Help Center is a great place to go.
Thank you for using My Journey. Please reach out to us at support@PAIRIN.com if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions. We appreciate your partnership.